I'm in an indescribable position with my grief. I have found widow support, but not infidelity support. I'm sorry for the length. Dave and I were together since we were 18, we dated for 6 years, and have been married for 6 years. We shared an incredible connection, our personalities and interests clicked so well. I've never felt so right with a person, I was convinced we were soulmates. I was deeply in love with him, and honestly, a part of me still is. I never saw any signs that he was cheating. Our relationship was great for several years. We got married, became completely obsessed dog parents, and spent pretty much every waking moment together. We were happy. Things started to go dark when he began struggling with alcohol. I noticed things that weren't right and tried to talk with him about it. He would get incredibly drunk and beg me for help with his addiction, only to gaslight me the next day. This went on for a few years until he was able to get sober. I was proud of him at the time, but I didn't realize he had swapped one addiction for another. I did notice changes in him. He became irritable, depressed, and developed permanent dark circles under his eyes. He was distant and I felt emotionally disconnected from him. He stopped initiating intimacy and seemed like his mind was somewhere else whenever we did go under the sheets. It scared me, but I told myself it was because of the crazy life circumstances. You see, the previous 3 years were extremely traumatic for us. I'll explain. He got testicular cancer, which was very unlucky and unfortunate at his age, and had to have a testicle removed. He coped with it, but never fully processed the emotional impact. After the diagnosis but before his surgery, we started trying to get pregnant. I was pregnant for the first time 6 months after his surgery but miscarried at 6 weeks. It took another year before I was pregnant again. This time, I got to 12 weeks, only to find that the baby had passed away around 8 weeks, and I needed to wait for my body to naturally miscarry. I remember coming home and having to tell Dave that there was no heartbeat. The look in his eyes was unforgettable. That was the moment when I lost him for good. He never recovered, he just began to spiral downward into a deep depression. We were both stricken with grief. We had started infertility treatment, which at that point was just investigating why the miscarriages were happening. It was really difficult and it felt like I was going through it alone. I was traumatized by the painful miscarriage and the fear of losing another pregnancy while he seemed to always be on his computer, gaming, and listening to Discord chats. It was like he was never really present after that. I felt incredibly alone, and my efforts to grow closer seemed to drive him away. I didn't understand, and I wouldn't understand until after he unalived. I became afraid to get pregnant, and my therapist suggested that we take a break from unprotected intimacy until I felt safe. When I told Dave this, he had a bizarre reaction. He got angry at me and said that he needed intimacy to be emotionally okay and that he was upset that I wasn't meeting his needs. He rarely voiced his feelings, so I thanked him for being honest, but it was extremely odd. I wanted to keep talking so I could understand, but he said he wasn't up for that conversation. The next day he seemed really off. He was nervous and on edge. He said he needed to tell me something and then took several minutes to stammer out, "I think I have a corn addiction." The level of freaked out he was didn't match what he was telling me. Corn was never a big deal in our relationship. So why was he acting like this? He said that he felt like he was losing control and that he was really scared. That didn't make sense to me either. But after this confession, he was exhausted and just wanted dinner. I did ask him if he was having any thoughts of self-harm, and he said no. That was all that was said. The next morning, I was getting ready for work when he woke up. He smiled at me sleepily and said, "I love you." We kissed and I ruffled his hair as I left the room. Those were our last words. He stopped texting me or reading my texts at 12:30. He didn't answer the phone either. When I got home, the back door was open and the house was quiet. I stepped outside and found him in the garage. He was unalived. He unalived himself with a rope, and his shorts were pulled down, exposing him. His phone was on the ground next to his right hand, screen shattered. It was an accidental unalive by autoerotic asphyxia. For those who don't know, IA is a dangerous method of pleasure. By cutting off your air supply, brain cells begin unaliving and it creates a sense of euphoria. Unfortunately, this was right up Dave's alley, as he loved the thrill of danger in his intimate fantasies. I just never thought he would engage with actual danger. So that's how I found out that he had a corn addiction. Pieces started falling into place as my world was falling apart. I lived with my parents for a while, just existing as a shell. I desperately wanted to understand his unalive and why he would do something so dangerous. I couldn't get his phone unlocked, but I could view his Google history, which was remarkably clean. Why didn't he keep a search history? Why was location history turned off? Why did he never once tell me the password to his phone? You see where this is going. My searching eventually led to the discovery that he had a VPN subscription, and that he had Cash Apped a woman $10. He was still logged into a single corn website. His profile on that website used a Yahoo email address that I'd never seen before. So I went to Yahoo, typed in the email address, and entered the only password of his that I knew, and it worked. I was in. My heart was beating fast as I skimmed email titles. Grindr, Ashley Maddie Daughter, OnlyFences, other sites I'd never heard of, and finally Creeps List. The emails went back to our junior year of college. I was shattered. There were multiple posts complaining about me, how I wasn't good at intimacy and I wasn't fun in bed. Mind you, this is after 12 years of me engaging in his kinks to the best of my ability. It stung to read that he never appreciated me. Some said that I was amazing in every way except intimacy, so he needed an outlet to stay in the relationship. I also found hundreds of chat logs on Discord, Skype, Facebook Messenger, and Telegram. He did a role play with one man where he pretended to be hypnotized to forget all about me. As the role play got more intense, they said they loved each other and pretended Dave was going to move across the country for him. Another was an older woman while we were in college. He was texting her while I was asleep next to him. Then, while we were married, he had an online relationship with a college student. There are just too many of these to count. I confessed my discovery to his mother, which might sound weird, but we were very close. She went strangely silent. And then she slowly said, "I thought he stopped doing that." Excuse me. What? She reluctantly told me that during winter break our first year of college, he had confessed to her that he cheated. He told her that he was lonely and homesick, and he turned to intimacy as a comfort. He met up with a guy, started giving him the sloppy toppy, and then started crying and ran away. Apparently, he was in counseling the rest of that semester. She thought that was the end of it, but he had just carried on in secret. He started cheating on me 6 months into our relationship, at the latest, and continued cheating off and on until he died. The last messages on his phone are intimate role-playing on Discord. It feels like I lost him twice. When he unalived, I lost our future together. And when I discovered his cheating, I lost our past. Nothing I knew was true. It's giving me a headache. I clearly can't trust him with how thoroughly he lied to me and covered his tracks. But his struggle with porn addiction seems to be genuine. There are so many moments that he truly loved me. But also, he cheated on me for our entire relationship. I'm a grieving widow and a betrayed spouse. I love him deeply and I'm agonizingly hurt. It all blends together, and sometimes I don't know if I want him back to kiss him or to slap him. How do you reconcile betrayal from the one you trust the most when you can never talk to them again?